Like to have.
And we're going.
I'll tell a secret.
Hello, everyone. We are live, doing the live chat with Mr. Bruce Hart, and who's standing off to my side, being uncharacteristically quiet.
I'm not shy. I just want to make an entrance.
Come in, darling. Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Hart.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Come on in, darling.
Oh.
Would you prefer this side, and then I'll cross over.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
I'm wearing a hat, Leon.
Why?
Because I can't compete with your hair.
I'm having the worst hair day. I just got a haircut and it all like springs up. Doesn't wear down.
I made a joke on the radio. I'm sorry about that. I made a joke about when we were doing the pool fight that your wig slipped, but I was teasing.
What makes up for the joke I made during the photo shoot about, here, I'll hand it to you.
Exactly. And you know me. Actually, my hair is a mess, but I have hair. But when we're shooting, sometimes I do use a little fake hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
And see, I would never know if you didn't say it. I always assume that it's
hours and hours of getting it glued onto my head, but it's worth it.
We're still broadcasting. I just want to share this.
Share? Did somebody say share?
Share. Share.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, share.
Mm-hmm.
Five and Dime is out on DVD.
Oh, I can finally get rid of my VHS copy.
Do you really have it on VHS?
I do. I love that movie.
I love that movie. It's funny. I actually wrote a college paper because the play didn't get great reviews, and the film I thought was actually brilliant.
I'm going to tell you a little story about that. I had a chance to go to New York and see that play.
You saw it?
No, I turned it down because I got an acting offer, so I did that instead. And I'm like, what the hell? What was I thinking? I was doing some god-awful musical. What's the one where you go to this? Oh, Brigadoon.
I love Brigadoon. I played Harry Beaton.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I love that part.
I honestly, seriously would have rather had gone to New York and seen the play.
Well, yeah, because if it's done by amateurs, we didn't even have an orchestra. We had a piano. But we had great backdrops.
I've seen plays like that where they use a piano. Sometimes it works, yeah.
Oh, and then we had a bagpipe for my funeral. That was really hard to play dead.
I didn't know you were a singer. Oh my gosh.
No, Harry doesn't sing. He dances, but he doesn't sing.
I can't remember the play. It was quite a while ago.
Harry's the one who he's like the rebel who gets mad and tries to leave town. They hunt him down and he gets shot in the head.
So if we do the gay version of they're playing our song, would you be up to it?
I would absolutely be up to it.
Which part do you want?
Would Neil Simon be up to it?
Do you want Robert Klein or Lucy Arnaz?
You know, there's a line in that show, because her ex-boyfriend's named Leon. And then, what is the line? Into everyone's life a little Leon must fall. We'll have to change that.
I did it in summer stock. I was in the chorus, but anyway.
I love that play. Actually,
me too. But I think it's right for a revival, but it kind of needs sort of
it needs a new twist,
a reboot, right?
Shall we adjust?
And, so since you didn't answer the question, I want the Lucy Arnaz role.
You can have the Lucy.
Just so you know,
I'm not a Lucy Arnaz fan, and I can play Jewish.
I'm not going to make fun of Lucy Arnaz. All you have to do is pull up an episode of Here's Lucy, and
Hello, Reba. Reba has joined us in the chat room.
Reba, hey, how are you?
If you're watching, go into the chat room and you can ask us questions because we need questions.
We do need questions. Otherwise, I'm going to have to tell all of my Hollywood anecdotes,
which we've been talking about.
And I do have a few. I'm going to parse them out though because we have an hour, right?
An hour.
How will we survive?
Full hour. Oh my God. Talk for an hour. Us?
Oh my gosh. But Leon, that first episode where we're together, wasn't that brilliant?
Oh my God. Well, I can't say that.
No, I can say it because Rutanya's in it, and I'm watching her, and I'm like Rutanya Alda, who was in Mommy Dearest and
Deer Hunter and Amityville Horror 2. Check her IMDb page because her credits are
I have to say this before anybody asks a question. She's we're like brother and sister on soul under the skin or whatever. In terms of how we approach a role, she's exactly the same. Like you know me, right? I'll say when I walk into the shot, where's my face? If I put my hands up here, if I use this hand here, is the camera seeing it? It's all about the business and the precision, and she's exactly the same.
He's very technical.
Yeah.
It's funny when we're shooting a scene together. He's very eyeline, and I'm just like, oh, the camera's there, okay.
My big thing is eye lines, just because that's kind of an old school thing. But an eye line is.
But it's important
when you're talking. Like if I'm talking to you. And they're getting it from here, and then they flip the camera around, they shoot over there. You want to make sure that it looks like I'm looking at you. And Rutanya's the same way. And so when she hands over for those of you that have seen it, the AVE sign, you know.
Oh, hold on. Keep telling me.
Do we have the
Yes,
AVE?
we do.
Okay. But when she hands it over to Leon, it's the same sort of thing. She was concerned about, is it in the shot? Am I holding it up correctly? All of those little bits of business. And for me, that's just what one does as an actor. You ask all the technical questions. Once you have the technical stuff out of the way, it frees you up to do, you know, the actual acting piece. And here it is. Oh my gosh.
We have to both do. I'll get a still from this later. Whoops, this way. Although I keep thinking it says AIM, A-M-E. Doesn't it look like an N? Adler Van Eddie talent?
It should be Van Eddie Adler talent.
It's alphabetical.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a line about I even gave you top billing?
It's
Did
not
we cut
in there.
that?
Yeah, we cut it out. But you know,
So much for being nice. We cut a lot out of that. So, you know, we're going to have to do like a deleted scene.
you know, folks that are watching, a lot of stuff that we shoot doesn't actually make it into the show for various reasons. Not because it's bad, but because either it's runtime or we look at
It's
it.
usually runtime.
Yeah. Well, you know, it'll make it cleaner or faster, more interesting to the
Plus,
audience.
Arvin's very, very, I mean, he's very into fast. And my thing is, if it's not
I
funny
think it's
or if
important.
it's not furthering the story, then get rid of it.
You know, ever since Desperate Housewives, the whole genre of TV and web shows is fast. And there's another term, they call it upcutting. You want stuff to go fast, and people have been basically educated to watch things that are faster. So let's say you are on TV, you go to Cozy or whatever that show is, and you watch like the Doris Day show or something like that.
Bionic Woman.
Those shows are slow.
So
it
slow.
takes forever.
I think that's one reason the new Dallas didn't work, because it couldn't really emulate something that wouldn't work anymore.
Right, because they had the 80s and
all
the
those
late
long
70s.
shots,
the long
close-ups.
close-ups. You know, now I'm thinking about Dynasty, but okay, so Linda Gray, where she'll say something to JR, and then there'll be this big pause. They zoom in on her
And
face.
she just works the lips.
And then they go to commercial. They couldn't do that.
No, they couldn't. And that was, I think that was one of the problems. They couldn't. You know, when I was first talking to Arvin about the show, I wanted the episodes to end with the freeze frame with the to be continued. It's like,
He said it's not going to work.
not the
I also don't want to offend anybody, but I also think some of the cast members of Dallas weren't up to that because they were younger actors. The original show, if you'll pardon me, excuse me, my back itches. Thank you. See, Nathan scratching.
I'll scratch your
Now-
back if you scratch mine. You have
Seriously?
scratched mine, so I owe you.
Oh, hey, wait. I think we got some questions, and I don't have my
Oh,
glasses
fabulous. Is Nelson are they gonna be partners?
on. What kind of partner?
Yes. We have, I can say it. 'Cause,
Can you?
I mean, yeah.
I can't because I'm an actor for hire. I need to shut my mouth. What does the producer say?
The producer says, well, I mean, this is the big sign, which we'll see in the lobby of Nathan's office 3 episodes from now. Wow.
Anticipation.
I don't know how these shows, you do like 22, you know, the
But
network shows.
Leon, there's all sorts of good stuff. Let's not forget. I love being on the show, and I am Nelson Van Eddy, and I am the instigator. But the old dogs are the old dogs, so there's a wonderful storyline for each of the old dogs this season. And I have to say, obviously, I read the scripts. And
Did you?
Oh, stop it! And I hung out on the set whenever I could.
Yes.
But, I watching the craft of the different actors is it's phenomenal. And if I can digress,
Yes,
I
please.
did a radio interview with you, Kurt Bonham,
David.
and David Pesner.
Sheena
And we
Metal.
were Sheena Metal, thank you. We were talking about just how does an actor prepare. And actually, there's an acting book called An Actor Prepares. But everybody had a different story. And for me, I'm just fascinated. I watch each actor, how he or she gets into their role. And it's very different.
Very different for every
Yeah.
actor. I noticed that really with Rutanya. Like the first camera blocking rehearsal, she was kind of sort of singing her lines and not even really saying words. And I remember at the time thinking, is she okay? But it was, when you see the episode, you realize she was I think she was finding the musicality
I think she's she's a mix. I think I'm more of a technical actor.
Did you guys talk at all about
Yes,
the relationship? Because we've had a lot of comments today about, Catherine Trick said that you guys are like a perfect evil couple, like Boris and Natasha.
It's wonderful. Yeah, no.
And you guys kind of mirror each other.
We
and
sat
the fact
down
that
and
she
we
does
talked.
those voices very
I
similar.
got to tell you something else. We were both early to the set by 45 minutes.
He's always early.
I'm always early. So
early.
we're sitting in the parking lot waiting to get in. So I'm hanging out with Rutanya Alda, one of my wonderful, like...
Idols. I mean,
Yes, exactly. And so we chit-chatted, and then we got into makeup, and we talked some more, and we talked a little bit about what is our relationship. And I was thinking, this actress is brilliant, and she's going to give me some new layers that I would hope, that I could bring to the role, because...
when you think about the people she's worked with.
I know, my God.
I mean, we're working with someone who's worked with De Niro, Dunaway. I mean, some of the classics.
Hopefully some of it rubbed off, right? Well,
it totally did. Oh my God, you guys.
Something good had to rub off.
You're stealing lines.
Oh, it's from Mommy Dearest.
Nelson is back also, and actually the 4 episodes from now, and the season finale. And I watched the season finales between Rough Cut and Fine Cut. Our scene, I wish we could talk about it, because I think our fans are gonna love that scene.
Since you're the star and you're also the writer and producer,
one of the actors.
Well, all right, whatever. The star.
Too many better actors who deserve it.
We film, and we tend to forget. I go on and do other things.
Sure.
We all work. And
I don't, but everyone else does.
But
it's
and
a
then
choice.
It's like a treat. The other day I was talking to my brother, who's a film director for Sony, and I said, I forgot I did all these episodes for Old Dog. It's just amazing. So when I see them, it's almost like a little bit of a wow, it was all there, and I didn't realize.
I always compare you to Cloris Leachman and Mary Tyler Moore, because she was like a special guest star, and she was only in like maybe 9 episodes a season. But people so identify her with that show, and you've kind of had the same thing.
Thank you.
We have some questions. Hi, Sally!
Hey,
she
Sally.
got in! Yay! She can't have sound on, but she wanted to say hi. Do you know how to, like, hi, Sally... something like that.
Sally, thanks for joining. You can still ask a question.
And Reba, yes, they're business partners. They're business partners. Oh my God.
So who's the vice president and who's the...
That's a good question. I never thought it through that much.
I don't want to spoil anything. I'm being really good here, okay?
You can spoil a little, because
okay.
these are just the diehard...
In answer to your question, we have some really interesting episodes coming up where we talk about us partnering together, and I'm hoping if we do, another season or 2, and I pray to God we do, we'll explore more of that.
I've got more written for it. Well, you saw the scene where we... there's a scene that I wrote that was going to be... Oh, God, it's also convoluted. It's weird as a writer, because there's just so many variations.
Right, you could go here, you could go here,
But we wrote a series finale, that we were going to shoot at the end of season 3 and before Out TV said, no, don't stop until we tell you. And there's that scene where we learn why you and I hate each other so much. Shh. And that was actually originally the part that I wanted Mo Gaffney for. But then when the part came up for the lawyer, I'm like, get her in sooner.
Maybe we can steal somebody else from AdFab. Wouldn't that be marvelous?
Joanna Lumley, if you're watching.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're in LA. Oh my God, wouldn't she be great? I love Joanna Lumley.
I absolutely adore her. I think her work is brilliant. But she'd have to be here. It's one of those things where there's travel and time.
It was like Joan Collins. I mean, her people said she'd like to do it if she's in town.
Collins,
I would love Joan to play my mom. We have the same hair. Yeah. Because, I mean, in my actor backstory, both my parents are dead.
This guy's hair is real, and so is Joan Collins.
Oh,
okay?
No.
Can I
hers is... Well, no, you saw that. I sent you that 60 Minutes interview. I think that was her real hair.
It was her real hair.
The widow's peak.
Did you see how great she looked? I thought she looked
And
brilliant.
I love she didn't take bullshit.
Yeah, she handled it really well.
Thank you, Sally. Glad you liked the episode. We need more seasons. We do. As for a Barbara Lydia bitch fight, they don't really have a cat fight, but they have a couple scenes coming up.
Not get along.
No, they do not.
I have to tell you, I had no idea, because I'm on the set watching this stuff, how this would come across. When I saw Rutanya and Amanda go at it,
It's great too, because they have They have a serious. I mean, their energies are so different.
Very different.
The characters and the actresses, and they got along great, which is great to record.
I was like trying not to make sure that my laughs got onto the soundtrack so they could use the because I was rolling.
I had a couple crew members actually email me when we wrapped saying, "Oh my God, there were some takes." I was just like,
"There was fireworks," and
that whole day was great.
I have to say one thing, and I've worked on some other shows, including other episodic stuff. What I love about
you can name names.
No,
it's all right.
No.
You can
when I'm working
Boys
on
Town.
Yeah, Boys Town, right? It's a series for Canadian television. I think it's coming back for a second season. But my whole thing is, but not just that. I work for BET and HBO and all that.
You had a sitcom in the 90s?
The
80s. Late 80s. And he was playing a child.
We're not going there. But
playing a child.
When I'm on Old Dogs, he's just setting me up. Stop it.
We really should try to hate each other.
People are really focused, though. All right, we can do that in a minute. I just have to do this mutual love thing first.
All right, okay.
People are really focused. People show up, they're prepared. You don't really have to go past 3 takes, usually.
We rarely go past 3 takes.
I mean, we did some stuff where you and I are doing some stuff that I do not want to spoil right now.
God, I wish we could. Oh my God.
We needed more takes, but that's only because they needed camera angles and things like that. And plus, I was terrified of you. Just like
we can say sort of vaguely. You know how Dynasty, every season, they would have the Crystal Alexis cat fight?
Yeah.
We've kind of adopted that.
Yeah, but for Crystal, you're pretty rough.
But it's all in my imagination.
That's all I'm going to say. When we shot the pool scene, God, this guy here,
oh my God,
you did an interview, you said I was like a linebacker.
You are.
I don't think so.
Like trying to move him was like running up against a brick wall.
I thought I was going to drown. I was actually hoping Greg Louganis would dive in and actually save me.
I thought I was going to die that day, Bruce. I am in such bad shape. I mean, I was literally in that water just like... My hearing was off.
We both were really ill afterwards. It was rough.
I went home and threw up. Did you throw up afterwards?
I threw up. I felt like I'd been in like maybe a car accident or something.
It was.
Getting in the water was so hard,
And such a...
Yeah.
It was like a car accident because it was like... It goes by like that, but at the same time, time is suspended and it feels like it takes forever. I'll never forget that sensation of like... I'm like, oh my God.
And of course, your hair looked great. Mine with all the product washed out, and I'm like, no,
I think I left an oil slick in the pool.
So, Leon, we should talk about the guest stars. We talked about Rutanya.
Yeah, Rutanya.
We also have Mo Gaffney.
Oh, wasn't she fun? You weren't on set that day. She was the coolest.
But I know, of course not. I didn't get to meet her.
Because I wouldn't let you in Nathan's house.
I was like knocking on the door. Mo, I've got
He's not in this
my
thing.
autograph.
He's just trying to get a part.
So who else do we have to look forward to?
Catherine Lee Scott, who's in the finale too, which we're putting the final touches on.
I saw a little clip of that, and she looks terrific. She's also just terrific as an actress.
She really is. I was in the pantry, and you guys haven't seen these scenes and won't for another 6 weeks, but I can say that I was like hiding in the pantry when she was shooting her scenes. I can say that she plays Muscle's mom, and she's such a good actress. I remember at the time sitting in there and listening and thinking, oh my God, I've written the most boring scene ever. The scene is like, but then to watch it, she does something because she's so totally realistic, but yet so interesting and so engaging and so.
It's what a good actress does.
Amazing
the little that I saw,
work.
she really shines a light on the character. She's warm. She also looks great. I mean,
she looks great, and you really get a sense of where Muscles got his mindset from.
I saw a little bit of Jeffrey, who plays Muscles, and he's really good.
Oh, did you just go to your scene and watch it?
Of course.
When you get the script, you just go, Nelson.
But it's funny, we were in awe of people that are famous, people.
Sure.
But you know what? When you meet them, and it's true, everybody, if they're a professional, they're just working professionals. They're out there doing their craft.
And it's just another job.
Mm-hmm. And, I don't think any of us are strangers to famous people, right? I mean,
not now.
Outside of the show, no. I mean, So, I went to college with many famous people. They all went on to be way more famous than me, but it's just an interesting thing. And I thought tonight I might share one, unless we have a question.
Yes, please. Let me scroll through. Catherine Lee Scott looks amazing. I was actually a little worried when I met her in person, thinking she's playing Muscle's mom.
Yeah.
They look like they could be brother and sister. But technically, she is old enough to be Muscle's mom if you're from Indiana or Ohio. And I also think, again, it like kind of informs where Muscle's got his
why he looks so damn good.
Yeah. I never saw Dark Shadows. Did you watch Dark Shadows as a kid?
Alas, yes, it was on prime time when I was a kid.
Really? Prime time?
Yeah, it was on 3:30. I used to run home from school to watch it.
I'm going to go have a cigarette. So take center stage,
It
darling.
was the 60s, okay? I'm not the oldest old dog, but I'm close.
We can say who is, because he's open with his age.
What? Who's the oldest old dog?
David Pevsner.
I gotta put on my reading glasses, speaking of old, and see if there's some questions here. If not, I'm gonna tell you a little anecdote about college. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Yeah, so anyway, Dark Shadows scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. And I was really irritated when Alexandra Moltke, who played Victoria, quit and they replaced her. Thankfully, they finally wrote that character out of the show because the other actress that replaced her was terrible. Be that as it may, it did not deter me from wanting to be an actor. So, when I finally told my parents I wanted to be an actor, they said, well, we really can't afford to send you anywhere but Michigan State, which was, a state school in Michigan where I grew up. I'm like, okay, it's far, 2 hours away from home. I'm going to go. So I went, and it was the late 70s.
Why do you...
Oh, no.
No, the late 70s was great.
That's on camera.
It's a great time. I just snorted.
No, it was a marvelous time. The drinking age was 18 for starters. Can I just tell you? So that was good. And also, dare I say this? Yeah, why not? It was pre-AIDS, pre-all of that. So it was the first beginning of the gay movement and being cool, and it was okay to be gay. And I dated a football player in college.
Wow.
I'm not going to say his name.
Say it.
No.
Is he known? Did he go? Did he play college ball?
That's not one of the stories.
College ball. Didn't that sound butch?
That's not one of the stories I'm here to tell.
Oh, all right.
But I did go to college with Magic Johnson. And I went to a few parties with Magic Johnson, and he's a very cool man. But no, the story I think I'm going to tell is in the theater department. And it involves a pretty well-known actor who is a little bit fallen on hard times, but be that as it may, he's been uber successful, a very talented man, and I think the world of him. One day, we did a play together, too.
And he was in an Oscar-winning film, wasn't he?
Several.
That's as much... I mean, we're not going to...
I'm going to actually say his name at the end. But one day I was trying to get myself into the black box. And a black box is a very small stage. And it's where you do like little one-act plays or stuff that they don't want to put on in the big theater.
Or don't have the money.
Indeed, yes. So I'm like, trying to open the door, and it opens. I'm like, okay. So I flip the light switch, and it's just like a horror movie.
It doesn't.
It's not turning on. I'm like, oh, I'm just going downstairs anyway, because we were going to rehearse some little show that I was in. I don't remember what it was. And anyway, I hear, Bruce, help me. I'm like, yeah, okay. I was a lot nicer back then. So,
no kidding.
I walk down the stairs, and I go in the back, and I'm like still trying to get the lights on, because it's a little scary. And all of a sudden, somebody grabs me, and they're like, trying to choke the life out of me. It was terrifying, and I'm like,
hug you or literally choke
behind me, choke me, and I'm like screaming, help! And anyway, all of a sudden the lights come on, cut chunk, and two people are involved in this story. The guy choking me was Tom Sizemore from Saving
Private Ryan.
Right, and what's that other movie about killers? I can't remember.
He's done a few.
Anyway,
you guys search on IMDb or do a search search Tom Sizemore and find the other movies he's done. But he's
very talented actor.
Very good actor.
I don't know what the hell he was doing. I think he was trying to scare me. But be that as it may, and anyway, another way to Google him would be Heidi Fleiss, because he was involved in that whole thing with her.
Yes.
So who saves me? But Bernie White, now known as Bernard White from The Matrix.
Wow.
Had I but known.
You've got to write memoirs, Bruce.
Had I but known, I would have said, I need you both to sign a deal memo that in the future you'll cast me in anything you're in. It's just bizarre. So I don't know what Tom was thinking. He was just laughing, ha, 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 ha. And I pulled a little, ha, 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 I laughed it off. I'm like, we all got on with our lives. But I'm thinking, what if Bernie hadn't showed up? What do you think? What do you think would have happened?
Tom does play a lot of, out there characters.
I'm not saying anything further. All I'm saying is
there's more to the story, but
at the time it was terrifying.
Whoops. Earth-shattering news. We have a question from the Derek Fing Harper general question. Tell us some funny stuff that has happened during your webisodes. I'm sure there's some pretty awkward or unexpected moments that arise before or after the shooting.
Do you want to tell?
You tell, because
I'm trying to think of something that was really, really hilarious, because usually we're all business. We all show up, we hit our marks, and we do our thing.
That's true. It's very knock it out,
And I have one, but I can't tell it, or it will ruin something a spoiler from later. Yeah. I don't want to tell that one.
I'm off camera for a reason. I'm like, this scene?
Yeah.
I'm playing charades.
I can tell you something funny. We were shooting the Halloween episode, and, I'm only in it for like a second. I'm in the bathroom.
But it's a great second, isn't it, guys?
Well, I loved it, but, I was ready to have my head stuck in that toilet. And
that's true. Bruce was...
I even had 2 costumes, and I'm like, if one gets wet, we got the other one. And Leon's like, no, you're not.
The whole time he was like, no, stick my head in the toilet. Stick my head in the toilet. And I'm like, Bruce, first of all, we shot it was like a warehouse.
A warehouse. It was a pretty dirty toilet.
I'm like, Bruce, I'm not going to stick your head in this toilet. You're going to get like hep and gonorrhea and God knows what else.
We finally agreed we were going to do it, and then we got off camera to practice it, and John Cleland, bless his heart, said,
the director of We Hope, and this week's episode.
He said, no, Bruce, you're not doing it.
No.
And I'm like, well, all right. And so John actually subbed for me. He is the body double.
Man.
I know. So suddenly I went from being like middle-aged to having a really hot bod. Wasn't that sweet of him?
I got to grab his legs while we were doing he's got he's a dodgeball player.
Is he?
Remember when we were kids, dodgeball was Smear the Queer. Why queers are now playing dodgeball.
Or Cream the guy with the ball, yeah.
Oh, I hated it.
All right, a little known fact about me. And I'm gay, right? And people think I'm probably into art and interior decorating and all that
musical
kind of
comedies.
Oh, look, Leon's doggy's here. But actually, I was very athletic in school. See, and so well behaved too.
He's like a pillow with a face. Whoops. Well, okay. Go on. I'm sorry. We digress.
Yeah, I played dodgeball. I played basketball. I was on the swim team. I wasn't one of those gay people that experience that you can't be in sports.
I was.
Yeah, and I know that, but I think it's where I grew up. I grew up in a very small town in Michigan, and I'm not going to say the name, but I don't know if we were raised right, but we had a coach who said, "You're men, you need to treat each other with respect." So nobody ever used derogatory language or anything like that. It's an amazing thing to reflect on now when I hear about bullying, because it's such a sad thing.
Oh.
Leon, I think we might have a question on...
I'll get it. I had to refresh my ice water. I'm so glad you rest for the show. It's pretty unique. Gotta check that episode out. No questions, just comments.
Well...
Ask questions if you have questions, particularly about today's episode.
Yeah.
Or Tanya, or...
Ask anything about Rutanya.
I should have prepared questions.
Unless you want to hear about my experiences in the 80s with a real whack job TV star.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So there's a movie out about Christmas, putting the Christ back in Christmas, or putting Christ back in Christmas, or whatever it is. And who does it star? Do you know who it stars?
Is that Mr. Cameron?
Kirk Cameron.
Oh, that must be the crazy.
So I was on a forgettable 80s show playing a high school senior. Now, do you know what the name of it is?
Just the something of us.
Just the 10 of us.
10, was it 10?
Yeah, and I wasn't a regular, but I was on like 3 episodes anyway. So Kirk comes to the set, and I need to be really careful here because I do not want to get sued, but my impression of him was, this is my opinion, he just seemed a little out there, Kind of... I immediately got a bad...
Out there like ethereal or stupid or
don't spend
mentally...
Don't spend time with this guy. That kind of thing. So I backed away. And later on, I heard all these rumors about him. He would accuse co-stars of being one with Satan and things like that.
Oh my God.
But, isn't it amazing how sometimes we have our own little programmed sense of who to hang out with and who not, that kind of thing. So, you know, at the time, of course, I was much younger and I was very gracious and polite, but now I see where he's going and I think, oh, this man, he's on a path of destruction, I think, personally. So let's take a look and see if we have some more questions. Otherwise, I'm going to have to tell some more Hollywood stories.
Tell Hollywood stories.
Oh, we've got one.
That's okay.
I just want to say you rock, Bruce. Of course I do.
Of course you do. You're funny as hell.
You're as funny as hell, and I love working and playing with you.
Who's Ustreamer23891 who loves... Because nobody else loves working with you, so I mean, I don't know.
It could be anybody, because, you know, I do theater as well. Stories are always great. Oh, okay.
Oh, he wants more. Yeah.
Well,
I already told the termite story.
I'll tell one more. I'm not telling any stories about people I've worked with, because everybody we've worked with on the show was great.
Yeah, okay.
Seriously.
So,
way back when I was much younger, and I need some water.
I'll get you some.
Thank you.
I'll get you water.
Oh,
Tell your story.
It's full. Thank you.
Oh, you just mean you need to drink
I need a
some.
sip. I was a waiter. You know, everybody does something when they're trying to get ahead, right?
Yes, legal secretary.
Yeah. Thank you. I can't type, so anyway, I was a waiter. So I was in charge of the brunch shift, and I waited on a really nice, attractive man and his brother. And they said to me, "We're in this town. Can we go out and go dancing?" To me, I'm like, because, you know, I'm gay. I've always been gay, and I'm like, I only know gay clubs. And I'm thinking, how can I answer this question? And finally, I said, well, I know of one really great dance club, but it's a gay bar. They're like, no, that's perfect. I'm like, okay.
A brother? 2 brothers, you mean?
2 brothers, yes. Mm-hmm. So I named the club, and they said...
You can name the club.
No, it's gone out of business.
Oh, okay.
They said, would you like to go out dancing with us? I'm like, well, yes, as a matter of fact, I would, because these 2 guys are famous. And I'm not going to say who they are.
Oh, come on!
No, this is going to be a mystery question that you can all like Google and research. But I'll give you some hints.
Yeah, give enough hints so they can...
Well, the one that was actually my official date has passed on. So it was a while ago. And they're famous for dancing.
Rock Hudson! No. Famous for dancing?
No, I was like what?
John Travolta?
Tap dancing.
I know.
And... the one who was my official date was also a recurring character on a very famous sitcom that moved the whole gay paradigm forward at a time when people thought that it wouldn't happen.
He was. Yes, he was. Mm-hmm. Yes, he was. Okay. Bruce gets around, okay.
So, I'm curious if any of our people that are online can guess. I'm not going to answer anyway. I just don't want to, just because...
Ustreamer23891 says, I just want to say you rock, Bruce. You're funny as hell and I love work. Oh, we already read that one.
Thank you.
Stories are always great. Lydia! Playing. Oh, interesting. Do you want to do a musical episode?
Like in I Love Lucy? Wouldn't that be fun? They did one, remember?
I Love Lucy did a musical?
Yeah.
Oh, where they did the opera.
Yeah.
I am Queen of the Gypsy! No, I have an idea for one. If we do a 4th season, we're going to do one. And Pesner said he'd write the music. So.
Oh, and David Pesner, of course, is a musical comedy star.
And we've all done, like,
oh my gosh,
sorry, language. Musical theater. So.
Can the rest of the cast sing? I know, we all know Amanda can sing.
Oh, Amanda can sing. I've
Dear
seen
God.
Kurt can sing.
Yeah.
I saw him in Lovelace.
Okay.
Lovelace.
So who didn't get their start in musical theater? How about you?
No, musical theater.
Yeah, we all did. We all wanted to be musical stars.
I mean, I'm not a singer. I would never say that, but I can carry a tune enough where I could, if Lauren Bacall.
I'm one of the ladies or one of the boys.
It's not diamonds. I've had enough champagne. Oh.
Overstock.com. No, we can't make fun of Lauren Bacall.
No, $25 million for her apartment.
It'll also come back to haunt us. I was thinking when I was a kid. Okay, I'll tell this story because it's interesting.
Tell it.
When I was a kid, we used to sort of make fun of Patricia Neal because she did Fight, Pain, and Win with Anison, and the other one was Freeze-Dried Maxim, right?
And
my husband says it's
I've always been a fighter.
Well, okay, so flash forward 20 years later, I had a head injury, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it damaged my speech centers. So I was just like Patricia Neal. I'm like fighting back, trying to get. Of course, I can talk really fast now, but for a very long time, I couldn't. And they would teach you, and you can't tell, but I'm sure you can tell that Nelson Van Eddy sometimes extends his vowels. Nathan,
Adler.
In part that's how my brain works now, and I actually talk that way.
Really?
Yeah, I did a movie called Homewrecker, and there's a scene where one of the characters is imitating me on the phone. He does the same thing, and I realized he's picked up on my speech pattern, and that wasn't my speech pattern when I was younger. It's the new speech pattern to enable me to talk quickly. So what you do is, you don't even think about it. You stop and you cruise on one of those vowels, so your brain can catch up, and then you move on.
So did you have to kind of like relearn to talk?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to be an actor. I was an actor when it happened. So I don't know if you know this, but when I moved to LA, I came out here to be a voiceover actor.
Right, like cartoons and stuff.
And I did this marvelous workshop with David Madden, who played Reuben Kincaid on the Partridge Family.
Yes, yeah.
And when I came home and got out of my car and I got mugged and I had the head injury, and the rest is history. And they called. They called me back and they said, "You were so good. You did a Don Knotts. We'd like to basically send you out for some things." And I was in a relationship at the time. My partner took the call and he said, "Yeah, he's not able to participate."
Oh my God.
I know. I'm like,
oh my God.
Talk about irony, right?
Oh my God.
Okay, we're done now.
Well, I'm falling into a depression now as we speak. Who is that?
If they don't have
Derek Fing Harper says he loves Homewrecker. It's a very funny movie.
Thank you for watching it. I think I actually sent it to him though.
I'm
like, watch this movie
or else.
What do you think? Seriously, I've pondered this question a lot
I'm
about
drunk. I don't think seriously.
Nathan, and we're not drunk. Nathan and Nelson. I'm kidding around. What do you think, in your mind? And it would be a good question for viewers too. What do you think is the reason or the rationale for them hating each other?
Oh, I know.
You do?
Do I?
You can't tell me.
My dog has to move.
It'll totally destroy everything.
Well, you read the scene. But how much do I talk about?
Do you think they'll ever get to a point where they're friends, or do you think it'll always be one of those things where they almost get close? And then, like Phyllis and Rhoda.
I think detente would be the most we could hope for.
Detente, that's funny. Didn't I say that in an interview recently? I talked about they forged.
I think you did, yeah, detente. I think they'll...
I love that word.
Like some of the ideas I have, if we have a fourth season, that there would...
There's a fourth season? Stop it. We have to do one. I need a job. Yeah, well, there's that too. But I mean, I just want to work.
Oh, I do too, and I'm, for the longest time, I'm like, the well's dry, I have no ideas, but I've actually started having season 4 ideas.
I have thought a lot about Nelson, and one of the things I've tried to do, a character like Nelson, he can be very two-dimensional in the wrong hands, and I'm just saying, he could just be a bitch, but he wouldn't have any layers, and I hope those layers come across.
They do.
When we first meet...
Or else people wouldn't like you as much.
Yeah, probably not. It's sort of like The Devil Wears Prada, and I'm certainly not comparing myself to Meryl Streep, but in the wrong hands, what if Faye Dunaway had played that role?
Oh my God!
I'm sure
I bet if Rutanya's watching, you appreciate that question.
Exactly. But Nelson has layers. When you first meet him in the club, he's actually kind of just, well, what are you doing now? And then there's that bratty little moment where I hook you up with another character.
Revenge.
But when I have Greg Louganis, oh my God, Greg Louganis!
Who's a good kisser, you say?
He's a marvelous, just everything. Anyway, but when I'm with Greg Louganis, the character, dare I say this, is more preening and kind of like, oh, this is my hubby. He's trying to be kittenish. It's what the grotesque way in which Nelson thinks he should be sexy with his husband. In I don't want to spoil anything, but in our new season, I get to explore a different side, and it's more the business side of Nelson Van Eddy.
Yeah.
And for me, it's very important, if you're going to play a character that everybody loves to hate, there really has to be a backstory. And the actor really has to do his homework.
You have to justify it.
Yeah, exactly. So I have an opinion about every old dog. Did you know that?
Let's hear it.
Okay.
I'm drunk. Let's hear it.
I'm not going to touch on your character only because...
No, come on. Now, come on.
I think I'm, in a way, jealous because you're a free spirit. You've had an indie agency, and for years, my character has been part of like a big conglomerate. Yeah. So I've gone with status quo, and I'm jealous of the fact. I'm also jealous of the fact that you have friends. My character is envious of Muscles because he's, handsome, well-built, gorgeous. Yeah.
Is this backstory?
Yeah, it's my backstory. It's what I've come up with.
Really?
Yeah.
I had not heard that. I love the inner...
So, I'm Jewish, and I consider my character to be Jewish, so instantly I have a hate on David Pevsner's character. Just like, what a mensch, he's such a nebbish and all that kind of thing.
He's a mensch. No, wait. Mensch is non-Jewish, right?
Mensch
He's a goy. He's a goy. No, wait, I'm a goy. He's a mensch.
Goy is...
All I'm saying is, I think he's a bad Jew. I don't like him because all he does is worry, he doesn't... My character is like, no, you need to be successful. You need to be type A. You need to move ahead. Mm-hmm. And for Kurt's character...
These are my choices.
Yeah, these are my choices. And then I think for Kurt's character,
Brad King,
but I think Nelson finds him a little bit grotesque. He's like, he's gotten by for so long on this one-hit song. He doesn't do anything. But I think there's a little teeny little piece of Nelson that would like to have some action with Kurt.
I think that's true about Nathan, too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? There's always this... That's probably why we don't like each other, because we probably compete for the same guys.
Maybe. Could be. I'm going to bring in a very special guest interviewer, so I can go have another one of these.
Oh, he's going to smoke.
Our producer, Mr. Lawrence Whiting.
Don't smoke. It'll stuff your throat.
I know. Well, he's supposed to be quitting. Oh, I look terrible.
Hold on.
You look great.
And if it starts to dim, just hit...
Why do you think I'm sitting so far away from the camera?
I told you my Eve Arden story. My Eve Arden story is that she appeared as a guest star, I think. Or maybe it was a series that she did, like, back in the 80s. Yes, back in the 80s.
87.
It lasted, maybe it was even a pilot.
Oh.
And, anyway, so she was on set, and I remember she was wearing, like, a wig and an outfit, and it was between scenes. And there was a photographer on set taking stills. And at a certain point, you could kind of just hear them interacting. And he kept taking shots, and then she said, "Not so close."
That's how I feel.
And of course, in that Eve Arden voice, "Not so close."
I think it was the pilot where she was the aunt, and she had a daughter who was heavy, and she decided that she needed to have a nose job. I remember this like it was yesterday. And then she would have this new nose, and then she could grow her body in to fit the nose. Do you remember that?
Have you answered these questions?
No, I don't know my glasses.
Hang on.
Oh, sorry. I can't see, guys.
Okay, Golden Fleece. So I'm going to say hello to Jason, because I know you're there. Is Scotia with us?
No questions. Just welcome, Mr. Producer.
Mr. Producer, welcome. So anyway, the way that pilot episode ends is this. She comes in at the end and her blouse is buttoned inside out. Do you remember that? That's the pilot.
That's right. Yes.
How is it possible? I'm the only other person that has this stored in my brain besides you.
Wait a minute, but...
Back when they showed pilots...
Did they air it? Oh, they in those days, in the olden days...
She was good.
When knighthood was in flower.
When knighthood was in flower. They used to show, in fact...
In the summer.
I'm old enough to know this, so I'm going to tell, because I think this is actually kind of an interesting story, because they just don't do this anymore, but...
Trust me.
When Lucy was on with her solo series in the 60s... They didn't show reruns of Lucy during the summer. They shoot something called Desilu Playhouse. And it was all pilots that Desilu had created that they would show every week something different.
Wow.
And that's what they would have all summer long instead of reruns. And of course, some of those pilots sold.
Star Trek.
So, but they don't do stuff like that anymore. They don't even do pilots anymore, apparently.
The way shows go on and off the air now is just criminal. Like Hot in Cleveland got canceled. I'm kind of surprised. I thought it was funny. I don't know. I don't know. What's the criteria for you?
How many seasons has it been on?
Yanking a show off the air? I don't know.
What?
My only issue with
Hot
that
in
show.
Cleveland?
My only issue with that show is the lighting. Seriously, it could have better lighting, and I don't know
What,
why.
Hot in Cleveland?
Yeah.
You know, Sex and the City had great lighting.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, as far as daytime shows, although I don't watch it anymore, I always thought The View had incredible lighting.
It does.
Everyone always glows, looks fabulous.
Not to change the subject, but there's a commercial for Walmart, okay? I'm just going to say it. And Melissa Joan Hart is in it.
Oh, no.
You know, she actually looks good, and I was watching it, and then they ran it a second time, like, right afterwards, so, like, got really close to the screen. The lighting is what makes it look good, you know?
Yeah.
Somebody bothered to light somebody in a way in which... And do not get me started about lighting, because we have good lighting on Old Dogs, and especially on a web show where you're shooting past, that's a rarity. To have good lighting, a good camera angle.
Have we done a shout out to our crew? That's always really important.
Well, that's what we're doing here.
Well, I mean, because our crew, you know, they're just incredible. You know, I'm so
Amazing.
proud of the technical quality of the show.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
good sound, good lights,
good sound,
camera
and
angles.
we're really, really lucky because they've all, you know, either gotten us, you know, loans, great deals. I mean, they've made it, you know, possible for, you know, again, a grassroots production.
But you know,
to have, you know, really great production value.
Not always true. I've guested on some other things, other shows.
Oh, name.
In this case, in this case, I can't. But you know, sometimes you're just delivered up, and I'm like, do you think I could have the key light over here? I actually had a camera person say to me, "What do you mean by the key light?" And he was a young kid, and he was out of film school. I'm like, that key light. I said, it's right there. I said, bring it down.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put it directly in front of my face. And then tilt the camera just ever so slightly. And this is for everybody. It's not just for older people. It's a more flattering angle and it's more flattering lighting. But sometimes you don't get a choice. So I've done some indie movies too where I'm like, I'm going to look like Methuselah. So I'm appreciative of the cast in it, especially of the crew.
Everyone looks really great on Old Dogs and New Tricks, and believe me, in real life, they all look like shit. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Bruce Hart is a very attractive man. If I weren't married, he might be on my Jewish boyfriend list. No, you know, it's a good-looking cast. You know, when you said that about Kurt, I think a lot of people associated with the show and our viewers, you know, Kurt's a cute guy. Brad King is very cute.
Who's your favorite?
I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say who my favorite is.
What? I got to say this right now real quick. I don't have any favorites on the show, seriously, and especially my character is not my favorite. But I do love sitting on the sidelines and watching how each actor prepares for his or her scene. They're all very different. And I have to say, Rutanya Alda, to go back to the lovely lady that's playing opposite me right now on the show, she and I are very similar in the sense of how we prepare. You know, we make sure our business is absolutely precise. By business, I mean, if you hand something, you do it exactly the same way. You make sure it's up in frame. If you're going to say a line or something and you know that it's your close-up, you make absolutely certain that your eyes are in the right place. I really appreciate that. And it's just really fun to watch people get into character. I'll watch David Pevsner. We did a radio show like a couple weeks ago with David and Kurt. And I love watching them. They're both very different in how they prepare and how they ramp up for their characters. Artists just, I don't know. It's
well,
better
you know,
than
everyone is a little different. You know, Leon, you know, has another role. You know, he wrote the show.
I know.
And he's obviously a co-executive producer. But, you know, when he's not acting, he's constantly storming around the set, screaming and yelling, and demanding his rights. No, I'm kidding.
It's not true at all.
No, it's actually not true at all.
Putting cigarettes out on costumes.
I have to say this right now. I have never for a moment said a line of dialogue that he wrote to him and worried about what he thinks of how I'm saying it. I just don't ever get the sense that Leon's saying, that's not how I mentioned it in my head, you know? And I'm sure it isn't, but you don't do that. You're very professional, you know?
No, everyone
Well, and I mean, he'll have discussions sometimes with the directors, the various directors.
And then they
we've
come
got
talk to
four
us
great
and tell
directors.
us, do it over again.
5 now. 6.
6, yeah, we have 6 directors now. But of course, they're all fabulous. And of course, then there's Arvin, who's,
The Godhead.
The yes.
How many directors have I
But
worked
are
with?
you sure we're still connected? Nobody's asking any
Because they're
questions.
enraptured by
We
her.
put them to sleep.
Are we putting them to sleep?
Mhm.
Or, no, I'm just wanting to make
Well, we
sure
got
we're
10
still
more
connected.
minutes, so make it
Well,
interesting.
we've got
guys.
plenty of stuff to talk about. Seriously.
Well, first of
oh
all,
my gosh.
people did not turn in the show to watch me, so I'm going to turn the camera over back to the star, yes, the star of the show.
Which is me, right?
Yes. Now,
Bruce Hart, now solo on camera.
I'm not the star.
Good night, everyone.
I'm going to tell you my recipe for turkey meatloaf. Just kidding. My recipe for turkey meatloaf is
Hello,
to pick
darling.
up the phone and make an order. I had a dear friend who said Bruce makes dinner by making reservations. It's true.
Well, it's like the Alexis line. I don't prepare meals, I order them.
I love that line.
Yeah.
So honestly, if you could be Crystal or Alexis, who would you rather be?
Alexis.
See, and unfortunately, we're reversed, right?
I know.
I'm Alexis and you're Crystal. I would like to be Crystal. Isn't that amazing?
I hate Crystal. I can't stand Crystal.
Oh, Blake.
Oh, God.
I read an interview one time where she and Jeannie Francis, they made a series.
Bare Essence.
Bare Essence. Oh.
It's a miniseries. Yeah.
Anyway, but
It went to series, but not with them.
not for long.
Not for long, no.
So Linda Evans was telling Jeannie Francis how to smile, and you push
how to whisper.
you push your tongue up against the roof of your mouth, and that way your gums don't show. And I'm going to show you how to do it because I do it all the time. What do you think?
That's not bad. That's actually a good. I've heard Barbara Walters said to just have your teeth apart. But that's a good way to make it happen without it being like.
Have you noticed some of the mechanics of when I'm acting? I have certain angles. If I think the camera's not where it should be, I'll tilt my head. I don't know if you've noticed. Watch me. I wiggle around. I'm even wiggling around now, but it's more just because I'm just antsy. Seriously though, I want to.
Don't you think we should have pretended from the beginning that we hated each other and played off that animosity?
I don't think I could have done it because, guys, do you know how I got my part? Do we have enough time to talk about this?
Sure.
I sent an email to Leon saying I loved the pilot and thank God somebody was doing something.
About old gay people.
Well, representing gay men of a certain age and the entertainment industry. And Leon said, let's go to lunch. And I'm like, I thought I'm going to make a new friend. And we did. We bonded.
Yes.
We had a fun time.
Can't stand it.
No, we had fun. We just joked and laughed. But there was really no talk about me coming out of the show, I don't think. And then
I think I did sort of mention, we do have a villain that's scripted later on.
I had no inkling in my mind. Seriously, this is one of the rare times when I networked without realizing it.
Yeah, sure.
Because I was doing
Isn't he a good actor?
something else. I was doing Boys Town.
Right.
So anyway,
Keep going.
you sent me a note saying don't get your hopes up, but we might bring a villain in. And I'm like, I'm like, number one, oh my God, I'd love to play a villain, and number two, I hope I can do it because I usually play the neurotic characters or the nice characters or that sort of thing. Anyway, so it came to fruition, and I was nervous. The first time we shot, I was like, I hope I can pull this off. And Leon said, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Leon, are you insane?
Leon said to me,
Leon
said to me, Bruce, you are so focused, you're making me nervous. Do you remember that, Leon? You said to me, the first time we shot a scene together, you said to me, Bruce, you are so focused, you're making me nervous. And
I don't remember the exact words, but I remember the feeling.
Well, something
I'm like,
like that.
God.
I'm like, oh my God, yeah. It was
Well, no, because you were right. I remember that.
Do you know
Bruce Hart is, I have to say this, I'm going to say it off camera so it'll be like a voiceover. This is God speaking.
Let me fix my
Bruce
eye.
Hart is professional, prepared, poised, and perfect.
And pungent.
He
I'm gonna take a bath.
and yet, when you're not on camera, you're not aloof. You're still engaged with people and have fun.
You don't stay in character.
No, well, of course not. I'm not anything like that.
Well, some people go off to themselves.
I'm just grateful to have a role, okay? And to be on a
Grateful
set
to
where
have
everybody's friendly, and grateful to have a role that was written for me. How often, I'm going to say this on camera because I said it on the radio,
Say it.
does somebody write a role for somebody where it's written just for them?
Well, I mean, the character existed kind of in the abstract. Originally, Bill Shannon was going to be Nelson. But after we had that
Really?
meeting, yeah.
How nice to hear this on air.
But I also sort of realized, I've said that before, but I realized that Nathan would never sleep with Damien again.
Before.
Nathan would be done with Damien if he thought Damien and
Bill
Nelson.
who?
Played by Michael Kearns in season 2.
Here's how you follow on to say, but you made it so much more unique, Bruce.
But Bruce made it so much more unique that...
Oh, stop. What I'm saying, though, is usually you go and you audition for something.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a script somebody's already written. You try to fit their concept. You did not do that. You said, here's the role you have.
Yeah.
And so that was like, it's very rare.
Well, but I mean, other than the 4 principals, I mean, I've kind of done that with the guest stars. I mean, I have done that a bit with the guest stars. Rutanya, actually... well, I can tell the story. The Matthew Martin, a friend of mine in San Francisco, had worked with her when she did the.
That was marvelous.
They did a tribute at Castro Theater, and he was telling me just how cool she was and how friendly. And I'm like, how can I make this work for my advantage? So I emailed her, and she said, oh, she'd love to do the show. So then it was like, okay, who's she gonna play? And then it was like, maybe Nelson needs a Lydia. And Arvin was like, that's a great idea, go with it. And that's how that.
Brilliant.
Boris and Natasha.
Somebody just sent an email saying they liked my movie Homewrecker. And I got to tell you, Homewrecker is not the first thing I ever did.
No.
But it kind of brought me back as an actor because I hadn't worked in a while. So thank God. That was a play that I did up in L.A. that ran for...
What you had produced, too,
yeah,
right?
and it ran freaking forever. So when we got money to make it into a movie, somebody foolishly... So my first thought... Well, they wanted to recast the whole thing, and they're like, we want younger actors. We don't,
Of course.
Basically they wanted to recast me. And I'm like, I own this thing. No, I'm in it. So then, they kicked out some of the other actors. And it's not funny because there were some wonderful actors that I would have loved to have had come over from the stage show to the film, but it's money on
That's
that.
the thing, it's never just...
Do you get stopped on the street ever? People ask you about your role?
It's happened a couple times,
come
but
on,
not...
he's just
No,
being
it's true,
modest.
it's true. It happens at this one all the time.
All the time, and it's bizarre because I sometimes forget I've done
He's been in...
the show,
You've been in 9 episodes.
Yeah.
And yet, yeah, it's amazing.
I can't even go to the gym. One of the gyms I can't go anymore because the other day I was over working out and these 2 guys were like, they're young too, with young guys.
Wow.
They were like, oh, wow. And they came over and they said, are you on that web series? I didn't tell you about the Study Old Obstetrics. And I'm like...
I'm waiting for someone to, slap you. Aren't you Nelson Van Eddy? Whack!
Well,
Be nicer to me.
I'm like, well, yes, I am. And they're like, can we work in with you? And I'm thinking, I really would rather work out alone.
Mm-hmm.
But then, what do you do, right? So
I don't go to a gym.
Yeah, it's an interesting, but, so Homewrecker, and then a long period where I didn't work a lot, and then Nelson Van Eddy has really got me a lot of work. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad the show's getting some work because...
Is anybody still listening? Because I think this show needs to do a 4th season, and then we need to do a feature film.
Yes.
Feature film. Are you listening to me?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm all for it.
See how we really like
We've
each
got
other.
2 minutes. 2 minutes before we can stop the charade of friendship. And so if there's any last questions, if anyone's still in there.
I wish I could tell that story, but I can't. No, it's
story?
about a future episode. I don't want to spoil anything.
The finale?
Yeah. Wait, hang on. What does it say?
Derek Finged Harper's still there. I am high.
Oh, Derek.
We're having a 3-way with Derek.
Derek's sweet. I know Derek. I mean, we chat online and things like that. I don't think we've actually ever met. But
isn't that bizarre how now with Facebook and the show and everything, how you have these great friendships with people you've never met?
And it also people that have been on shows I'm friends with Jennifer Runyon, who was on Charles in Charge.
And Brady Christmas.
Brady Christmas, Fake Jan, Jerry Rachel, and also Maureen McCormick, the real Marcia.
Yeah.
And actually, Tom Sizemore, folks, I went to college with him. He sends me silly little jokes about being gay and stuff, me being gay.
And supposedly Martin Short is a fan of the show because he's a friend of Amanda's.
Didn't he send a tweet or something saying how much he liked the show?
He tweeted Amanda saying, they need to show more of that girl. Dang. It's and this year we're showing more of that.
So what's up next week?
Next week is our Thanksgiving episode. And then we're going to have Kurt Bonham here for a live chat a week from tonight on Wednesday.
And Kurt is a really good chatter. So
hear him without his accent.
I know. I know. It's so hard to believe that it's What do we have here? Pretty cool. Haha, not bad.
I get confused with Kurt. I'm so used to between Carved in Stone with his Tennessee Williams Southern accent and Brad's faux British accent that when I meet him and he like talks as Kurt, I'm kind of like.
Well, I did a radio show where we called in. It wasn't when we were in the studio. It's not the one I was talking about earlier.
Right.
And Kurt was talking, and
you didn't know it was him.
I'm like, who the hell is that? And I'm like, so I called you later, and he goes, that was Kurt. I'm like, because when we're on this, I don't, the way we work, I'm not always on set with the old dogs.
Right.
So most of the time when Kurt's talking, he's doing the character. Mm-hmm. I have this thing where I do this. Why do I do this?
I do this a lot.
Yeah. And somebody told me I pick at my face like Judy Garland. I think it's true. I think it's because I'm afraid something will fall out of place.
I was in an acting class once, and the teacher actually said, "Stop touching your hair! It's the biggest trick in your bag of tricks." Okay.
I do this too. And here's something I do in the movies. It's called the Simper Wiggle.
You do that as Nelson a lot.
I know, and you know what? It's instinctive. And actually, in a couple other films I've done, because it was not appropriate, they had to cut around, like remove it. So
there's a trick I learned from Jack Nicholson. I've never done this, but I've heard that Jack Nicholson, when it's his coverage, he'll like always move his head like this, so they can never cut away. Because if they cut back, he's like in a different position.
Yeah, the thing.
All sorts of little tricks.
Things we do, but sometimes they cut away anyway.
Well, it's 1 minute after 8, so we have to wrap it up. God, this was fun. Isn't he like the best? Isn't he like the most
much fun
conversational?
With you today. We don't see each other as much as we'd like,
I know.
But we chat.
Well, you work all the time, and I'm always at the computer doing something for the show.
I do have a film coming out for BET Channel called Love.
Well, that's all the time we have, so.
Love or Laughs. And I'm not the star. It's a teen flick, but I play the mean boss. And it's funny, too. I say things like, do you know what time it is? It's 8 a.m. You're fired. And
fun. But working with teens. Well, they're really like 20-something.
And I'm not gay in this movie. No, I'm married.
You heard it here first, folks. Okay, we're going to say goodnight. This was really fun. Come back next week. Kurt Bonham, a.k.a. Brad King.
I might call in for that. I want to ask Kurt some really difficult questions.
Please do, because it's the night before Thanksgiving. A lot of you will be flying or driving or whatever, but those who are around, please swing by.
And those of you that have called in or texted
came
in,
to the chat room.
Thank you so much. And those of you that are going to watch it later, thank you.
Derek, it's been great chatting with you, and Scotia. And Sally and Jason and Reba.
It sounds like Romper Room.
I know.
Sally and Nancy.
Good night, John Boy. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week, and thanks for watching this week's episode. What's next week? Thanksgiving. The whole gang under one roof. This roof, in fact. They all go to Ross's house, so it should be fun. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you next week. Bye.